All right, stats. I have made for you this Thursday a little help video for your Chapter 10 homework sets, which is going to be due next Thursday. We're going to have to do the same thing, send it to me. I will be out that next week, but I should be returning on Monday, November the 1st. All right, so we should be good to go by then, and we have not really missed a beat, so we are good. I will obviously give you plenty of time to prep for that Chapter 10 quiz. And I put a few things in there for Skyward so you can kind of know when the due dates are. And your first homework set is due tomorrow night. Well, I guess if you're watching this video, it's Thursday, so that would be tonight at midnight. And your next homework set's due on Thursday the 28th, also by midnight, to me via email. Many of you, I guess currently 8 or 9 of you have sent in your homework. I think many of you, if you have the iPhone, are using that Notes application. If not, one of you did, it looks like, use something else. Well, maybe it was. You sent it to me as a Google what am I thinking of here? As a Google Doc, and I could read it well, so that also works. So there's many ways to do this, and you'll probably have to do this in college, and it's good. You guys, first off, this is your domain, technology. You can handle it, okay? You don't need an old millennial here telling you how to handle technology, all right? You can do it. I was able to figure it out. You can definitely, you're good to go. All right, so let's look at your homework here. Let's look at your homework. That's probably not the best light, but it's as good as we can go to do. All right, so first off, this is essentially like one that we did in the quiz review video. I would really have your quiz review out right now. Maybe pause that if you need to. This is basically like the one in your quiz review. E of x is equal to, and then just go from there like we did in the quiz review. All right, so number 2, you toss a coin 4 consecutive times. State the sample space. So I've given you one over here now, like number 2. There's a little cookie jar. Let's pretend you're going to toss a coin 3 consecutive times. Now, 3 consecutive times, there's only 2 different outcomes, heads or tails. 2 to the third is 8. So for you, you're going to have 16. Take your time with that. You're going to have 16 different outcomes. So maybe do like 4, 4, 4, 4, and then big set notation, just like this. So let's start with, you could have 3 straight heads, a head, head, tails, a head, tails, heads, a tails, head, heads. Those are the 3 outcomes of getting 2 heads. Then you could have a tails, tails, heads, a tails, heads, tails, a heads, tail, tails. Those are the 3 different outcomes of getting 2 tails. And then lastly, 3 straight tails. That's 8 of them. Again, you're going to have 16 of them. Really take your time. So then your homework's, what's the probability of exactly 2 heads your homework says, what's the probability you roll exactly 3 heads or 3 tails? So I'm changing it. What's the probability that you roll exactly 2 heads or 2 tails? So you're going to write probability that you get 2 heads or 2 tails. Well, there are 3 different ways I can get 3 heads, and there's 3 different ways I can get 2 heads and then 2 heads and then 2 tails. Divided by 8, that's 6 over 8. So yes, you do add them together. I don't say 3 out of 8 because they're both 3 out of 8. Success is getting it's basically getting 2 of a kind. So in your example, success is getting 3 of a kind. Whether that's 3 heads or 3 tails, you will add up. All right? Then same deal. What's the probability you get exactly 2 heads or 2 tails? Like I could ask, what's the probability that you get exactly 3 heads or 3 tails? So probability 3 heads or 3 tails. I could ask that. Well, there's one outcome of 3 heads. There's one outcome of 3 tails. That's 2 out of 8. Again, write a probability statement. Doesn't have to be an essay, but write a probability statement. Okay, that's how you're going to do 2 in your homework set. It's a pretty quick homework set. All right, so let's take a look here. The next one is, and this is the last one that I'm going to make an example of because the other ones just just comes almost straight from that quiz review. You roll 2 dice at the same time and calculate the product of the 2 rolls. State the sample space. So here's how I want you to state the sample space, because you're going to be asked this question a lot, mostly in this way, the sum of 2 rolls. So I've given you one like this. You roll 2 dice at the same time and calculate the sum of the 2 rolls. This is the sample space. So on the first roll, you can get a 1 through 6. On the second roll, you can get a 1 through 6. 1 and 1 add together to give you 2. 2 and 1 add together to give you 3. You can write this out really quickly. They literally go up by ones in whatever direction you're going. Okay, so unless you go diagonally. So you be careful on yours, because yours is the product multiplication. So 6 and 5 wouldn't give you 11, it would give you 30. All right, so that's the sample space. That's how you're going to write it out for me. That's how I want to see this. Don't write the sample space as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, that's true, but that's not going to help you with the questions that follow. All right, so B says, what's the probability of getting a product of 12? So I'm going to give you one like this. What's the probability of getting a sum of 10? So what you need to do is you need to say what X is. In our case, X is a sum. For you, X would be a product. So I want to know what's the probability that my sum is exactly 10. 1, 2, 3 out of 36. What's the probability of getting a sum that is a 5 or less? 5 or less. So 5 counts. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And then there are 3 of the 4s. And then 2 of the 3s and 1 of the 2s over the 36 different sums. Uh-oh, no calculator. I think that is 278. It's 2 straight 7s, right? 2.7 repeating, I'm pretty sure. What's the probability of getting a sum of 10 or more? 10 or more, greater than or equal to 10. And that is 3 plus 2 plus 1. That is 6 out of 36. I did not allow myself a lot of room. Sorry about that. That is 0.167. Always round probabilities to 3 decimals. Okay, so then it says, what's the expected value? What's the expected value of the 2 rolls? What's the expected value? All right, so here's what we're going to do. Expected value of X. First off, there are 36 different ones, and you have 1 opportunity to get a sum of 2, right? Plus, then you have 2 different ways to get a sum of 3. Then you have 3 different ways to get a sum of 4. Then you have 4 different ways to get a sum of 5. Then you have 5 different ways to get a sum of 6, and make this nicer. Then you have 6 different ways of getting a sum of 7. Then you have what? 5 goes back down. All right, that's pretty important. Then you have 3 different ways to get a 10. You have 2 different ways to get a sum of 11. And you have 1 way to get a sum of 12. And then there are 36 different sums. So you add up all those numbers. That's going to equal some number, and you divide by 36. Your number is going to be bigger because it's a product. And then you'll get some answer rounded to 2 decimal places if you need to. That's how you find expected value. All right, you don't need to do like, oh, there's a... So another way that you might see, and this is more precise, expected value is the value of X times the probability of X. So the value of that would be 2. And what's the probability of getting a sum of 2? 1 out of 36. Plus that value is 3, a sum of 3, and there's 2 out of 36 ways. And you just continue that. We're doing the same thing because there are 2 different ways to get a 3, 2 different ways to get a 3, and at the very end, we're dividing everything by 36. Okay, that's maybe a little bit more precise, so you probably want to do that. The value is 12. Probably want to do that in college. All right. Anyway, that is number 3, and we are about done here because let's take a look at what we got. Free throw shooter, man. We've done that one a bunch. All right. Is that one literally from the quiz review? Goodness. Aren't you an 85% free throw shooter in the quiz review? Don't miss that one. Now you're still an 85% free throw shooter. Now you're going to shoot 3. Very easy. All right, then me running 4 races in a given month. This time you have 4, not 3, so be careful. That one will take a little bit more time, but you have no expected value, which is nice. Okay, yeah, there we go. There we go. So there you'd be like, probability wins exactly 1. Probability wins all 4. Probability wins none. So A and D are actually very quick. Right? Yep. All right, folks, that is it. And that's your video. And make sure by Monday you have the Chapter 12 notes packets printed. Whether you print at school, use the IMC printer, or you print at home. Have this out. We're going to pause this. Yogi is not behaving. This is Yak Math Videos, signing out.